t-shirt, Monty. Remember this one.
I purposely haven't put one on. I forgot.
Good evening. It has been a while. The summer has gone. We're now being told we need to form groups of 6 or less. So we're going to do it continued, socially distanced. Welcome to a new franchise wars. Yay. And this time we're going to talk about Superman in currently the popular DVD format. So we've got, I'm FIngermouse. I've obviously got Woody, and we've got Munt. Let's talk Superman. Let's talk Superman. So I'm going to kick things off straight off the bat. I have to say, there's a certain lovely, sweet quaintness about the first Superman. It's lovely. It's cheesy. It doesn't take itself massively seriously. You can fall in love with the first one. It's got a perfect John Williams score. It is pretty perfect as Superman films go.
No, I'll tell you what, know how we've looked over these films over the past few weeks, and we go back to the first film and we think, God, that is fucking really good. That first movie is. It's so well put together.
To be fair, it's what you did when you watched Avengers. That first Avengers film, you thought at the time, that film is so brilliant. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
No, I won't even go that far.
It's left in the dust.
The issue you've got with this is when we watched this when we was kids, we got fuck all to compare it to.
Yeah.
Now, watching it back, it's a fucking snore fest. The thing don't half drag on. I mean, for an origin story, it takes him an hour and 5 minutes to fucking become Superman. And when you watch it back, it does take a long fucking time, and it just goes on. You could cut that first hour and 5 minutes into a quick beat for beat, 10 minutes, job done. I have an issue with Superman in the fact that it's the most convoluted, boring sack of shit of an origin movie ever. And because of that movie, it sets the standard for origin fucking movies for at the minute, and it does my head in. They all follow that same beat.
Fair, mate.
Even fucking Power Rangers follow the same fucking beat.
It set the standard for all. It set the standard for all superhero movies that hadn't really, you'd had Batman 66 really beforehand. That was sort of it. This was the first sort of those big screen, big superhero movies that came. This was what DC sort of built their franchise on, really. And they dominated for decades, probably about 3 decades, really. Well, at least 2 decades solidly, before Marvel even came in the game. It was. I'm with you and I'm not with you. I'm with the pair of you on this. At the time, I think it was outstanding. I remember watching it so many times. Yes, going back and rewatching it now, it does drag on a lot. There's nothing really there's no fighting. There's no real action in that sort of way. There are set pieces that sort of work and everything. And I like an origin story. I'm a sucker for it. I was a comic book kid since a little kid, and I'm a sucker for an origin story. But I do like a bit of action thrown in with it. And much as I can still watch it, and the whole thing, you'll believe a man can fly, and that was a fantastic. I remember as a kid just seeing the special effects being done on the glass table and sort of pulling the cape and stuff, just make it work. And it's great. And Christopher Reeves is, there's nobody who's been better really than him. He was the perfect Boy Scout sort of guy there. He got it. The character doesn't work so much these days. You have to change it a bit, but there's so much that I still love about it. But it is watching it back now, it's a bit tedious. I'm okay with an hour to set up the character before he even comes in, sort of thing, because there was nothing before. They'd had no Superman films before, and there was nothing that people would go, oh, everyone knows the origin, everyone knows what this character is. What they did was try and set it up, really, and using lots of slapstick and everything like that. It was kind of fun, It felt like a Beatles movie, It was great.
It shouldn't take an hour to learn that a fucking bloke who was on another planet puts his baby in a pod, sends it to Earth, it hits the Earth, it grows up, he's got special powers, puts on the cloak, he becomes Superman. Then I've just done it, look, in less than 30 seconds.
But that was the first time it was being done.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there is no deep origin to this. There's no battle-scarred fucking bloke who's had tortures and everything else. He grew up on a fucking farm. He's your everyday fucking kid. He didn't need an hour and fucking 5 minutes to get to the point.
Did you ever watch
the first time it was being done?
Did you ever watch Smallville? Now, Smallville is how to drag out an origin story. I think we can be forgiven for an hour and 5 minutes. Look, it isn't without its faults. Yeah, you look back. I hate Marlon Brando in it. I think that was a waste of money, and it was like they didn't need that. It was just this grand actor that actually was completely unnecessary. So for me, they could have cut him completely and just had somebody's voice in the background and then Fortress of Solitude. I'd have been quite happy. Marlon Brando did nothing other than the fact that the bloke was clearly got a self-contained flat up his own arse. And talking of casting,
it was a big name, and they wanted. Yeah. It was an unproven idea. Full stop. Not even just an unproven property. It was an unproven idea to do a superhero film. They wanted. It's the same. They got Gene Hackman and they got Marlon Brando because they wanted a couple of big names that they thought were bankable and were going to be what brought people to the audience.
Well, Brando was part of the reason why Superman 2 went disastrously wrong when Reeve found out how much he was getting or something. And then it was a big fallout. The other interesting thing about the casting is if you were doing this in 2020 and you were going to cast a Superman from scratch, you would have an absolute stunner as Lois Lane, who's not a great actress. Margot Kidder's not the greatest to look at, but she's a brilliant Lois Lane. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah.
But
they cast the character. You got to admire that. And they cast the character with a woman who was stark raving mad, which was fantastic.
Yeah. I think it's an hour where it establishes it, but it hadn't been done before. You wanted to believe that you can see a bloke fly. It was fantastic, and the score is perfect. It's just perfect. I mean, you do get it mixed up with Star Wars every now and then, but the score is perfect. And good old John Williams.
John Williams having similarities between his...
Just slightly rearranged it. Instead of that, should we just go, that'll do. How's about that? It's just brilliant. I think with me, the franchise goes iffy, and we are going to fall out now when it gets to Superman 2, because I know when we talked about we were going to do this, I mean, I sent you both that guy, the J-Man on YouTube. Look it up if you have not seen it. It's spot on. And I get what he's saying about the theatrical cut. And I think I prefer the theatrical cut.
I prefer the director's cut apart from 2 points. The main one being let's spin the Earth backwards again. That irritates me. Spinning the Earth backwards in the first one irritates me.
Terrible.
Because someone's died, it can't turn back time, and it always irritates me.
And don't forget,
I'm with you on the irritation of that. So it always got me full stop.
And Joel told him, didn't he? He said you can't mess with those things. So he did it in the first one, and in the Donnor cut, he was going to do it again. It didn't need that to happen. It was a cop out.
But in reality, there isn't that much a big difference between the two films, apart from the odd snippet of a change of scenery. So we've got a falling through the window and being caught, and you got Paris instead, and the Niagara Falls is cut in and it's not in the other one. But apart from that, I love Superman 2 because something actually fucking happens.
I'll go all the way on that one. Superman 2 is the best Superman movie for me, full stop. Because he actually has villains that are worthy of him, and something actually happens. There's a story. There are mass characters. He's up against the wall. He is overpowered and outpowered. You don't get to see that in Superman movies normally. He's outpowered, and he still doesn't kill anyone in it. Fantastic, He still holds his.
It's obvious where this is going to come up in the ranking for me. Yeah. But I still think Superman 2 as a movie as it is, holds itself up against Man of Steel, holds itself up against easily Batman versus Superman. It is for me the Superman movie to beat.
Yeah, completely. I know it's spoiler alert and whatever for the rankings and stuff, but I completely agree there. For me, it's still one of the greats. You know, I love it. It was the first one of those movies where you just, wow, bang, what an action thing. You'd had Star Wars before, which was the closest that you came to a sort of, you know, sci-fi comic book sort of thing, you know, just blowing you away.
No. I know the special effects don't really hold up, but the fight sequences, you got two super power beings, well, one against three super power beings. The principles in these movies, in the action scenes, are the same in all the modern day action heroes now, where them throwing each other and fighting each other around. And you've only got to watch Matrix Revolutions at the end and the Neo and Smith fight. It is Superman versus Zod, that is. It just kisses of it all the way through. I mean,
and how good is the casting? How good is the casting in it, really? All the parts, especially like the three Kryptonians. Fantastic. After you've cast that brilliant Superman in Reeves, the three Zod, fantastic.
Well, and that's where I take umbrage with it, because Terence Stamp set the stage for overacting as a villain. It was the blueprint for how to ruin superhero films. And because of Terence Stamp over-egging it, not phoning it in, but absolutely hamming it up, he ruined decades of decent villains in movies, and they're going to go, oh yeah, we've got to do that.
Alan Rickman have given us the villains of the
Dave,
don't take this the wrong way,
Dave. Don't take this wrong with Dave, but you might as well just pull your pants down, turn around and put your arse up the speaker, because you are talking out your shithole.
Nope.
You really, really are. There's nothing wrong with Terence Stamp in this.
Kneel before Munt, son of Jor-El.
No, totally. They pitched it totally wrong. It was overplayed, overacted.
I totally disagree.
I love that. I love that about it.
Totally spoiled it.
I love the fact that that's what they did on there. They didn't do beforehand. You'd had Batman 66 where everything was uber campy.
Yeah.
I much preferred having an overacted sort of style of villains. Fantastic. As I say, what the hell would Alan Rickman have done? Like in the few, Alan Rickman based his whole overhyped villain on that sort of thing. I could have with a spoon.
In context of what Zod is and what he is as a character, I don't think he hams it up. This is. Don't forget, Zod really is a terrorist politician. He's not a superhero villain until he comes to the planet. So when he turns up at the planet, you can't look at the character as you would look as a normal villain, really. He's a political terrorist, really. He's not a, I want to go around killing everything machine. And all of a sudden he realises that he's a god on the planet. And I don't see any hammering it up of it, really.
He's a Kim Jong-il who's suddenly superpowered.
Yeah, I don't see what you see, Dave. I see something totally different.
No, it takes a sheen off it for me, because I do like Superman 2. I do like Reeve giving up his powers, depending which version you watch and how that happens. The other bit that rankles with me is the fight scene in the cafe. Always wound me up as well.
When he goes back and beats him up at the end is the only thing that really knocks me, because he knows he's over. That doesn't really fit in with the character of Kal-El. No. It doesn't, because Kal-El, they prove all the way, he's a Boy Scout of a person. You know, fantastic.
He wouldn't have done that.
To a guy that he knows he overpowers, it's kind of crazy. But I've got to admit, I'm surprised to be saying this. I'm more on agreement with Munt. I really am at the moment.
For me,
got Terence Stamp in there.
Whether you're a Marvel fan or a DC fan, doesn't matter which way you look at it. I personally believe that Superman 2 is the benchmark that all of the movies are trying to attain to and achieve.
I think some have passed it, but I think for decades that was that was the shining light. That was the
I don't
flag
mean
that was being waved that you'd even got to approach.
There are so many better movies than Superman 2, but what I mean is the way it's put together, the action, the beats for beats.
The story beats.
It's a blueprint. It's a blueprint. I mean, if you look at Superman 2 and then you look at something like Age of Ultron, the middling one, you can see the structure in the place. Starts off right off with some action going on, little bit of story, the bad guys come in, and it just they've all set that same standard now, really.
And the unfortunate thing is, it shone so bright, nothing afterwards. Everything paled in comparison because they somehow went off the story. I mean, the idea for 3, they'd originally got the idea to actually be putting Brainiac in there. That was the whole thing with the computer stuff, was it was going to be Brainiac. And that would have been brilliant. That would have been fantastic. But instead they bought into, Richard Pryor, who I bloody love. But they just bought into putting and Pryor wanted to be in the Superman movie. Pryor wanted to do it, But they took their eye off the prize.
No, what they did,
and they went for trying to get big bucks in there instead.
They made a fucking brilliant, absolutely brilliant movie called Carry On Metropolis. That's what they actually did. Because that is what it feels like. It feels like
it's terrible.
What happened was somebody thought, did you see Airplane? Yeah, Airplane. That was fucking funny. Yeah. Let's mix that. Let's have Superman and Airplane have sex, and let's see what happens, and we get Superman 3.
So I mean, Superman 3 is a terrible movie. The jokes miss a beat. I can't stand Lana Lang. I can't stand Lana Lang's boyfriend. I can't stand Lana Lang's kid. I can't stand the fact that Lois Lane disappears after. I hate Dark Superman and that sort of nervous breakdown, crying, what's going on. I can't stand Pamela Stevenson's character. I detest Richard Pryor in it. Robert Vaughn is the only person in it I can kind of get who's trying to do a B-Tech version of a Lex Luthor. The bad woman who becomes the robot cyborg thing at the end is terrible. They're beaten by a jar of jam. It is absolute crap from start to finish. And talk about a franchise losing its way. For me, I love the feel of the first one. I get what you're saying about the second one. I think Terrence Stamp overhands it up, but I can concede some of that. But my God, talk about how the mighty have fallen in a couple of years with Superman 3. What the friggin' hell is that pile of crap?
You can tell what they're trying to do. They're trying to take the humour from the first two, amp it up a little bit, add in a massive star as well, and then give you the action and build upon the action that you had into. But instead, they just went the wrong way with it. They just went completely wrong. But as a kid, you still got nothing to really compare it to. And as a kid, I still enjoyed it. Yeah, it wasn't 1 and 2, it wasn't 2, it wasn't even 1. But it was still something you'd sit down and watch and enjoy. The rewatch hasn't been kind to it.
You're saying that, talking about being a kid, right? And I still feel the same way now. If I want to sit and watch Reeves Superman, I will start at where in Superman 1 where he turns into Superman, then watch Superman 2, and then watch Superman 3. They don't all connect. But it's like you said, when you was a kid, you got fuck all else.
Yeah, so, you've got nothing to compare it to. They were building the blocks of everything.
But there's one redeeming feature, and Dave doesn't like it, but the almost introduction of Bizarro, it's when he had Superman. That's the redeeming feature for this movie. I don't see why you hate it so much.
Terrible. They
throw in action the computer game simulation stuff. There are still bits to enjoy in it. It's a step down after 1 and 2, but it's not into the pits of awfulness that's 4. But
look,
still
all right,
lots of fun.
Okay.
There are great people casting it. I like Pamela Stephenson in it.
Who doesn't like Pamela Stephenson for certain reasons? But look, okay, compared to Superman 4, Superman 3 is Citizen Kane. I'll give you that. Yeah, there's depths of despair and hell that these films go down, and Superman 4 is right up there.
I just can't watch it. It's that bad.
It is.
I can't bring myself to watch it. The only thing I've really done is looked at the deleted scenes where you've got Nuclear Man version 1, and he's like some kind of ape thing that he fights in the street and shit. But I just can't bring myself to watch it. There is no redeeming features for this.
It's painful.
To be fair, Ronan could watch 4 Quest for Peace and just rank that there as a number of poos. You know, that's straight away there. There's no need to look for a pastiche, a bad one. That's the one just to go straight for.
The really disappointing thing about it is the premise is great, but the execution is done by a bunch of fucking school kids.
Well, Christopher Reeves himself wanted to do a lot of environmental stuff and everything. The whole reason that he did it was agreeing to do it so that he'd be more involved and write the story and things like that. And it was great until Canon just pulled their usual stuff and pulled budget and everything, stuck it in another movie, and just reused, did one crappy shot and keep reusing it the whole time of him flying and just keep doing it with a new background all over the place. Canon were just, you know, they're amusing, and the movie about Canon is hilarious and brilliant.
Well, it was Golan Globus, wasn't it, Mark? I thought it had gone to Golan Globus by the 4th one because the Sulkines had sold it on. I thought that's what it, and that's why you'd got the hallmark of quality from the studio that bought you Lemon Popsicle. You know, this is, you know, scraping the barrel stuff.
I mean, what becomes abundantly clear with 3 and 4 is it's clear. It's abundantly clear. I've just seen it 3 times there. That 1 and 2 was filmed back to back. Could have just been a 4-hour movie, really. They just split it into 2, and there was no inclination to do a 3rd and 4th. In it just the way it was, and they should never have done a 3rd and 4th. So that's why they handed it over to Bryan Singer to give us Superman Returns.
I think they still made a lot of money though on 3, didn't they?
They didn't do too bad on 3, but
3 did all right. 4 was the one that bombed. 4 was the one that bombed and absolutely killed it. And for what was it, 1980? Was it 87? So we're looking at nearly 20 years until Brendan Rev turned up.
If I believe correctly, 4 made profit.
Oh, I'm sure 4 made profit on what it was, but it killed the reputation of the movie.
Oh, stone dead.
It killed Superman's reputation. I remember renting it, you know, underage and renting that then at the time, and just the growing nails of Nuclear Man. It's like, Jesus Christ on a fire coming.
It is. Oh.
They made their own stuff look amazing in comparison to this, you know, over the top. I mean, all the Chuck and Chuck movies, you know, straight away. Breakdance the movie, you know, everything looked brilliant in comparison. This was just awful. It was trying to do a big
I'm just looking at the box office now.
Even Masters of the Universe looked great compared to 4.
Yeah. Even Highlander the Quickening looked better than
your mouth right now, God damn it.
On box office,
that's such an insult to 1.
It cost roughly 16 and made roughly 16, which it broke even. I'm just looking at that fair for Superman 3.
Superman 3 must have been 200 million.
Now, Superman 3, they spent 39 million on Superman 3 and it made 60.
Wow.
There you go, still a money maker.
This isn't worldwide. This has got to be just North America.
No, it's worldwide box office.
That long ago.
Yeah.
The 80s.
Yeah, I suppose. But no, I mean, oh, dear me.
I mean, we can't really talk about the Reeve movies without mentioning good old Supergirl either, really, because it's a shame because it's not great, but it's still better than Superman 4.
Helen Slater was like cracking, really. She could have been great in the role, and it was still a lot of fun, but they wanted to do a whole lot of sword and sorcery sort of thing. You could tell, like, combined in there. What's big at the time? Let's throw in some sword and sorcery with all this, you know. They kind of spoiled what was there and could have been a fantastic thing. And the whole idea, I think the idea was in 3 originally that she would have been part of that.
Yeah, she was going to be in 3.
there.
I mean, just look at that for thinking, really. There was already going to crossovers and it didn't follow through. It's got a lack of faith in the movie studios, having a lack of faith in things. But when you look at what happened with Superman Returns, how does people feel about that?
I think Brandon Routh was good.
He's
I could see once again they suffered the main problem though that the first film had. There was no real action that went on in it. There were a few set pieces.
Yeah. I mean, there's paying homage and there's actually doing a carbon copy of the first two movies, the first movie, isn't there really? And yeah.
I mean, looking back at it now, Kevin Spacey was really well cast as a villain.
Who would have known?
I mean, and
at the time, no, because he was just a brilliant actor.
Yeah. I mean, how more tainted can you get? Bryan Singer and Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, yeah, the dynamic duo. Oh dear. I just, for me, the first one is sort of magical. It feels like I'm watching Santa Claus the movie. It just makes me feel great.
It's the first of its kind, which is something special.
The second one, for me, the theatrical cut is better because I think the Donnor cut, thank God they did intervene. It just didn't work for me, the Donnor cut. So
I get it. To watch, but I'd still rather watch the theatrical cut than
the theatrical cut wins out. It's interesting. I will sit down and watch it from time to time, but the theatrical cut saves a lot of things that the Donnor cut just did that's a bit wrong and over the top. Sort of some of his ideas they'd have just been wrong to be part of the whole thing.
And
then 3 is a joke and 4 is just absolute comic.
I got to.
3's more than a joke.
Yeah, three is not as bad as you think, and it's and as something happens again, unlike 1, you have got something continually going on. The effects don't look great.
It brings in the whole idea.
The story isn't bad
as well.
There's plenty of comedy in it. If you look, Harry, I can sit and watch it, enjoy it, and like I did when I was a kid. I can't sit and watch Superman 1 and enjoy it when I was a kid, because I didn't particularly when I enjoyed it as a kid, and it bores the fuck out of me now. I mean, something is happening in Superman 3.
And Superman 3 does have one of the best bits, really, of the Superman movies generally, which is the fight of the good Superman versus bad Superman.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that.
That's actually a great set piece. That's fantastic. I still enjoyed that watching it again.
I would cut that whole sequence out for me. I can't stand it. It's awful.
You kidding?
Nope.
I really enjoyed that.
From a story perspective, it makes perfect sense because they try to make Kryptonite. It's not quite right, and it turns him bad, and he splits into 2, and they have a battle it out, and the good Superman wins. I can't see the issue with that.
They even throw in the idea that cigarettes are bad. What do we do? Putting tar from cigarettes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
at school, wasn't it? What was it, nicotine or something? He used to have all the posters of him against the smoking guy.
And why is it sometimes when I put a pair of socks on, I always think of Richard Pryor saying, "What happens to your socks?" I don't know. I put on away. What about those socks? It still just sticks in my head.
For me, it's taking a lump of coal and then just compressing it until carbon. What? That's a diamond. Shit. Great science. Brilliant.
And that's Gavin's dad. That's Gavin's dad at the coal pit. What's his name? Oh God, Larry Lamb. Larry Lamb at the coal pit. There is.
It's Larry Lamb.
Really? I have to say, it's been a while since I've seen it.
I'll tell you what. Right, I'm going to find it while I'm just because I know it is.
Yeah, just pull it up. That'd be great.
I do quite. I have to say, and I do quite like Robert Vaughn in it. I think he's all right in it.
Always. Robert Vaughn's always good in stuff.
I just really.
Look, I'll just do share screen now. Here we go.
Are we gonna see Larry Lamb?
Oh, I can't. It says you've disabled screen sharing, Dave, so I can't show you.
Oh, I haven't.
I've disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, hang on. There we go. Try that.
There he is.
Munt has started screen sharing. Hang on. Oh my good God, it is as well.
I really should have paid more attention on the rewatch.
That's great. That's great. I would have spotted that as well. Oh God. Right. So, in terms of the first 4 films, we need to remove Supergirl. We need to take, and I would remove Supergirl quite easily and shoot Helen Slater in the back of the head, because there's another phoned-in performance. Talk about Wooden. I think I've worked out where Hayden Christensen got his Anakin Skywalker from. He watched Supergirl and went, "Yeah, that'll do." Oh, dear me. Anyway, that's another thing. So, in terms of ranking, then I'm gonna start off, and I've got it in I've got it 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got it in order. That's the order.
I haven't, but that's interesting. I think, if you took every Superman movie, I think 4 is going to be the bottom of the pile of everything ever. It's even Dawn of Justice is better than 4, and Dawn of Justice is shit. Batman versus Superman shit. Dawn of Justice is shit.
I quite like Batman v Superman.
The Quest for Peace is just it's the worst of the worst. It beats that 1990 TV version of Justice League where they wore the foam padded suits, which I always claim was just awful anyway. But 4 is just bad.
4 is a absolutely.
Yeah, and then on the opposite end for me, 2 is wonderful. 2 for me has everything that I love out of 1, except for origin story, and it gives you action for the first time. For the first time in these superhero movies, you suddenly saw what they really could be. Now, I love 1, which is why 1 comes in at 2, and I love an origin story, which is why 1 comes in at 2. But it does drag its feet for a long time getting there, but it's the first of its kind, and that's something special as well. That's a wonderful thing. It's just how do we make these films? How are we going to make people? They struggle then thinking, how do you make people believe that this is real? And they went with "You'll Believe a Man Can Fly," and that's great. And it's well cast and everything like that. It's fantastic, and that obviously puts 3 in the 3rd place. So I go 2, 1, 3, 4.
Well, for me, 2 is at the top of the pile because something finally happens after that great big massive fucking prologue that is Superman the movie. So in which case it's quite clear which is number 2 for me, and it's number 3 because I can watch it from beginning to end and something happens all the way through the movie. 1 is at number 3 because it bores the shit out of me and I struggle to rewatch it. As great as it may be and how wonderful it fucking looks, I'm still bored shitless for an hour and 5 minutes. And any film that bores me shitless for an hour and 5 minutes can't fucking be in the top fucking 2. Don't care how fucking good it is. And number 4 is 4.
Yeah, I think number 1 is a bit better than you're giving it credit for there, but you make some fair points on there. I just think it's the first film of its kind.
Rewatch value for me. If I'm going to
the Neil Armstrong of superhero movies, it's doing the one small step for mankind.
Rewatch value for me, it's got to be 2. I'd rather watch 3 than sit through 1. We're ranking it on how I feel about films, and that's how I feel about it. And I know for definite that if I sat Tom down and I put Superman the movie on, after 15 minutes, he'd get up and walk off, and I'd say, "Where you going?" He'd look at me, and if he could swear, he'd say, "God, this is shit." And because nothing happens for an hour and 5 minutes, doesn't matter how you look at it, it is boring. And when we were kids, we had fuck all else to compare it to.
Yeah, we got nothing to compare it to.
It's a roasted
that was a bad thing for them and a good thing for them.
Yeah,
it was bad in that they had to try and make it seem believable and real. But it was good in that you couldn't go, well, that's crap.
And it drags, and you can't say Superman 3 drags because something happens from the bat. Something's going on, even in the title sequence. I know it's Carry On and it's a bit airplane, but at least something's happening straight away to keep your attention. We have fucking Marlon Brando doing a fucking monologue for nearly a quarter of an hour at the fucking beginning of Superman 1.
Right,
I've
hang on.
got spot in my heart for it.
Hang on.
But
Right.
it's very much not the best of them, you know. But it was the first one out there, you know. It was tough. It was putting its toe in the water and seeing what would work.
Right. We are back. So,
Bum, 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 bum,
So-
bum, bum,
right.
just was.
So we need to agree on a score. So I've said 1, 2, 3, 4. Mark said 2, 3, 1, 4, which is ridiculous.
No, it's not.
When was the last time you watched Superman 3?
Not that long ago. I've just said I've got a problem with Superman 3, and I've told you the reasons why. Superman 1 is boring as fuck for the first hour and
It's
5
not.
minutes.
Oh, it's an
It is.
origin story.
Go on. There's three of us. Two of us have voted Superman 2 as the first place. So
No, we all have.
Then
We've all
two
had.
of us-
I said one was
then
first.
I put Superman 1 in second place. You put Superman 1 in first place. You put Superman 1 in third place. I think that settles Superman 1 then in second place.
Okay, so 2, 1, right?
Then
Right.
Mark put three as number 2.
I
You
put
put
3 as number 3.
I put 3 as 3. I think that settled 3 as 3 and 4 in last
And we're all
place.
agreeing 4. So it's 2, 1, 3, 4 is the ranking.
Well, I ain't going to argue with it because that's probably what the majority is. But for my personal taste, 1 is as boring as fucking shit now. It hasn't held
Yeah.
up. Boring.
Yes, we always said that on the votey vote, unless
Oh, yeah.
anyone swings it around, that'd be kind of how it works out. But I think 2's got to be number 1. It's always got to be. You know, you can pick your best and you can pick your worst easily on there. But Dave likes number 1, and I can understand it because it was that first film. It's important to a lot of people.
And I didn't think I was going to like 1 as much as I did. When I watched it again, you're like, okay, and yeah, you know, it's quaint.
There is a long time to set it up. I can understand Mark's point.
But it's just lovely.
It's that first movie trying to see, will people understand this? Will people understand what the hell it is? And Mark doesn't like origin movies as well straight away. You know, I can understand his point that he does.
And that's where I differ with it.
This is the ultimate origin movie.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He didn't like origin movies, but this was the ultimate origin movie. This was the first one. And
it's his fucking movie's fault to have to sit through fucking loads of other of the bastards.
And then
fucking right in the first place, which has made the origin the first fucking 10 minutes, and then actually put some fucking action in the movie. All of the other origin movies that they make I might enjoy them. The trouble is, all origin movies now go by this fucking template, and I hate it.
I
hate that.
I think we have to blame this franchise as well because it went origin movie. Yeah, we could argue all day about that. Nothing happened or whatever. And then it went so silly. We had 2 decades of super serious superhero films. My God, DC was up its own arse. Oh, sorry. And then it forgot that it was meant to be serious and went Superman 4 again with Batman and Robin. You know, it's like cyclical. It's like, oh, we've got serious. Oh, let's maybe ham it up a bit. Oh, let's go Nolan. Let's really depress everybody. Oh, let's go really Debbie Downer with it. Oh, you know, at least Batman v Superman had got moments of upliftedness in it. Something.
Yeah, but if we hadn't have had Batman and Robin, we'd never have had Guardians of the Galaxy because it's the template.
You're still trying to sell that one. You've got to admire his commitment there. I mean, you really do. I think you're wrong, but you've got to admire your commitment to the idea.
So
I like the idea of the roller coaster though. We're gonna go realistic, dark.
Let's get silly. Oh, let's get a comedian in it.
Here we go.
Oh,
and we can dark again. We'll bypass the normal. We'll go dark. Let's go silly. Let's give Dean a pretty voice. Gordon Zono.
Oh God, Terrible.
But at the same time, we'll be really realistic as well and make Anne Hathaway Catwoman, but we'll never call her Catwoman, but we'll give her a headpiece that kind of goes up and gives her the cat ears.
So actually,
and Ra's al Ghul's daughter's going to rape him. There we go. Wonderful.
So actually, this has got an awful lot to answer for. This franchise has got so much to answer for. And I thought it was Batman that had it all to answer for. This, Christopher Reeve, your lasting legacy is ruining franchises for superhero films. May he rest in peace. Right. On that note, and we will obviously continue chatting later, thank you to Woody, thank you to Munt. And I've been FIngermouse, and that is the franchise wars for Superman with our darling Christopher Reeve. Cheers, all.
Back from the summer holidays.